welcome to the Female High Performance Panel, first of its kind. I'm Tanner Duran, I'll be the host today, joined by 4 former high performance program members and very recognizable female athletes from PEI. We have Shannon MacAulay, Sarah Steele, Emma Martin, and Ava Boutilier. We're going to start off with some questions here about their careers and look basically from their minor hockey days all the way through and find out what they're doing now and kind of touch base with them and see their experiences and the knowledge that they can share with the girls here in our high performance program for this season. So I'll kind of start off. I'll pick on the youngest of the group. So Ava, I will throw out a question to you. Just looking at your career here so far, you're 21 years old. You started with the Charlottetown Minor Hockey Association, Charlottetown native. Maybe speak to your minor hockey days and what it was like playing on male teams. I know you guys you beat me in the Pee Wee AAA semifinals of the provincials one year, but we won't get into that. Maybe skip right to Bantam and talk about what it was like, sort of those kind of years of your career starting off.
Yeah, for sure. Hi everyone. So yeah, I mean, obviously playing minor hockey like a lot of you guys are right now. Charlottetown, playing at Simmons Arena. It was an awesome experience. I started off playing because of my best friend. We did everything together. Didn't come from a hockey playing family at all, and so she kind of dragged me to the rink. And her dad was coaching I think it was an Adam House League team, and they needed players, so I decided to join and started off as a defenseman. And I was probably the leading shot blocker in Adam House League hockey. And then eventually they were like, "Hey, you need to go in the net." So I was very fortunate growing up in Charlottetown, being able to play boys hockey all the way through. As a goalie, I was kind of in a unique position to be able to do that, just because of the position, the nature of the position. I had some great coaches all the way through that saw me as a goaltender and not as a female goaltender. So that was, really fortunate. And, I can't say anything negatively about my experience with Charlottetown minor hockey.
No, that's perfect. And I guess speaking on Charlottetown too, I guess I'll turn it over to Emma, Emma Martin. I guess you also played within the Charlottetown system, coming off a season now where you've helped coach the Central Storm zone, and maybe if you want to touch on your days growing up in Charlottetown and your hockey starting off in the minor hockey days.
Yeah, for sure. Similar kind of story to Ava, except for I was all female, and I had an amazing experience growing up playing Charlottetown minor hockey. I never played boys, which I think maybe I might be the sole one to not out of the rest of the 3 girls, but I was really fortunate in that I had like a core group that kind of traveled up with me throughout the years, and we were like very competitive and pushed each other. And so I never really felt pressure to go anywhere else to find improvement or to increase my skill. So I was really lucky to have such like an amazing experience with the Charlottetown minor hockey. But on top of that, I had some like really phenomenal coaches that I had probably every single year all the way up. So I was really lucky in that sense as well. So nothing but great things to say about my minor hockey career. And now I'm kind of transitioning to coaching. So it's been really nice to see it through that lens too.
Perfect. And I guess your next door neighbors, both Sarah and Shannon, I believe you guys played Panel. Maybe if Shannon, you want to kind of start off and what it was like with you. I know you played in the Panel Minor Hockey Association starting off.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Sarah and I are both Panel, and the other 2 rivals, Charlottetown. No, I mean, my experience, similar to the other 2, growing up playing minor hockey was nothing but positive memories. And I played boys hockey all the way up until I left home to go out to Warner, Alberta and play. So that was kind of when I transitioned to female. So I actually played boys right up until Bantam. But I mean, I think, with the challenges of playing boys hockey as the only girl, like all in all, I think I did have great experiences. And kind of like Ava said, my coaches were always good to see me as a hockey player, not, a female hockey player. It was really treated no differently for the most part. And yeah, I had some really great teammates and all that support. And so I think the community really rallied around me being a female playing boys hockey, and it was all positive experiences for sure.
Awesome. And I would say it'd probably be a similar experience for you, Sarah, as well, kind of growing up in that Panel minor hockey system.
Yeah, I think like Shannon touched on all the points. All of like my male teammates were really accepting of me being female. I think I was probably one of like 3 girls on the team each year. So there was definitely, you might think it would be an isolating experience, but it wasn't at all. I think it just like pushed me to be more competitive and aggressive. And I think I really flourished from those experiences in Panel.
That's awesome. And I guess just to kind of wrap up the minor hockey career days, looking at your careers after minor hockey, I'll touch on a few highlights from everybody here on the panel. So starting with Shannon, obviously you went to play with the Warner Hockey School there with the JWHL for 4 seasons. She then went to Clarkson University for 4 seasons, where you had won the NCAA championship in 2013. Might have been did you score the game winner in that championship? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, we thought so. So that's awesome. That's a pretty cool accolade to have, obviously. And then finally finishing up in the Brampton Thunder of the CWHL. So lots of experiences past the minor hockey days for Shannon. Looking at another Panel Minor Hockey Association alumni with Sarah. She a defenseman, obviously, of her like, and she played at the Appleby College. Then the Mississauga Chiefs, the PWHL. Both Shannon and Sarah had some playing days with the Canada's under 18 national women's team program. And with Sarah going to Boston University to play her college hockey in the NCAA. And some cool facts with Sarah too is that she would have played in the European Women's Hockey League as well as the Swiss Women's Hockey League, where she now finds herself with the Toronto Six, who just came off a pretty successful inaugural season, coming just short, but we enjoyed watching it through there, through the live channels of that playoffs that kind of started and stopped, but got through it. So then we look at obviously Emma and Ava from the Charlottetown area, with Emma playing through that kind of all-female side of things with Central Storm, whereas Ava went with the male route. Emma would then go to play 3 seasons with the UPI Panthers here in Charlottetown in the U Sports. And then she would go to play in the CWHL and the PWHPA in Montreal. Some career highlights for herself would include 2017 U Sports AUS second team All-Star. She was drafted in 2018, 38th overall by Montreal in the CWHL draft. And she was also an assistant coach of the McGill's Women's University team in 2019. Looking at Ava's career post-minor hockey, she would obviously end up at the University of New Hampshire for the past 4 seasons. Something pretty cool about Ava, she's actually named captain as a goaltender this past season. She would have won the provincial championship in 2013 with the U15 AAA League. She was also selected for Hockey Canada's National Women's Development Team Summer Camp in 2019. She was named Hockey East Defensive Player of the Week 8 times since joining the UNH Wildcats, and she reached a milestone of 2,000 career saves with the Wildcats. She's also named to the All-American Scholar List and is co-president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So pretty impressive careers post-minor hockey. Just shows your guys' success and obviously commitment to each one of your respective careers. Maybe we'll start back with Sarah. What were some of the highlights of your career, if you were to pick a few out for us?
I think the main one I'd pick if I had to look back would be just being invited to that Team Canada U18 tryout camp in the summer, and then making that team and going on to win the gold medal. That'd probably be the highlight of my career.
Perfect. And I think, Shannon, you also won a gold with Team Canada, that age group as well, but different years, I believe.
Yeah, different years. Yeah.
So maybe turning it back over to Ava, what would have been some of your highlights, Ava, between your minor hockey days and then seeing yourself end up at the University of New Hampshire? Obviously 4 seasons there. There must be some kind of highlights or memories that you've had playing there that you could touch on for us?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being at UNH has been an awesome experience through and through, and we haven't necessarily had the success that potentially is coming. I still have 2 seasons left here, and I think that our program is continually getting stronger. We had some really exciting moments this year. It was a tough year to play, and with games constantly getting rescheduled and canceled, and quarantines, and all the various things that come with trying to play during a pandemic. But I think just having the opportunity to play at this level and play against girls who are also at this level, that was a big thing for me growing up, was having the opportunity to play against other high level female athletes is always an honor, and something that you can't really take for granted, and you don't realize that until you get to this stage and you look around and you see girls that are playing on Olympic teams, and that you're playing against all the time. So I think those are some of the highlights for me. I don't really have necessarily like specific moments, but just kind of the entire journey and the process.
Awesome. And maybe Emma, you could speak on maybe some of the highlights you've had in your career.
Yeah, I think first one was probably being able to play at UPEI. I can remember like growing up in minor hockey in Charlottetown and kind of idolizing being like a varsity athlete per se. So being able to play at the university level itself was like a major accomplishment in my eyes. And then being able to further down the road of the career actually become the captain and be in a hometown crowd for university was a really like amazing experience, I would say. And then I guess to top it all off, just the past 2 years, being able to go to Montreal and just be exposed to everything that was there and all that included was very surreal. And it was an amazing experience and probably topped it all off. Yeah.
Perfect. And I know, Ava, you kind of touched on, the challenges of the COVID season this year. Maybe I'll open up to the group now. I guess, what were some challenges that maybe you guys could touch on for us, and kind of explain the girls that you might have had throughout your career, and how did you deal with kind of those challenges? Maybe we'll start with Shannon.
Yeah.
Kind of putting these on the spot, so I know.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you can like touch on all the big highlights, and those are the ones that kind of stick with you, the good memories. But I think when you really look at kind of a successful career, you have to look at a lot of those pieces that took, some resilience and hard times to get through, whether it was injuries, or just, having a hard season of loss and just, yeah, like whether your performance personally was having a hard time. I know for myself personally, I think some of the years I would have personally struggled performance wise was when I was transitioning into, playing with Hockey Canada and going back to my club teams, whether it was university or high school, and kind of feeling that bit of pressure and how to deal with it, and how to come back and to my club team and be a leader, but yet, eliminate some of those pressures that I felt like I needed to be, something that maybe I wasn't, and just try and be myself and be the athlete I was. So I think those were always harder times to kind of get through. And I think injury is another one, having to sit out and watch your teammates and doing the right things to get yourself better, and not just, ignoring all the resources there. And I think, I definitely struggled with that sometimes. I was stubborn, like we all are as high performance athletes. So I think, looking at a global pandemic, perfect example of that is just, being stubborn. And it's hard because, we're forced to slow down and stop doing the things we love. So I think it takes a lot of adversity and resilience to kind of get through these times, for sure.
Perfect. And maybe Sarah, you might be able to touch on this for us, with kind of the season he's had with the Toronto Six, and having to kind of stop that postseason after being named the regular season champs, and going into postseason and stopping and then starting to get back up. Kind of, how did you guys get along with that? How did you persevere and kind of return to the ice, kind of at that 100% compete level for the final rounds of playoffs?
Yeah, I think I'll start at like the beginning of the season actually, and say that we had to deal with like a lot of adversity from the get-go, as like many minor hockey teams and all the way up through like university teams, we were only allowed to have like 10 players on the ice at a team. So I was walking into a new team and I only got to meet like half of my teammates each time I went on the ice. So that was kind of difficult in itself. We had to do all of our workouts outside. I think a couple times it was -degree weather and we were doing our workouts on the road. So definitely the environment wasn't one that you would necessarily expect walking into a professional team. So I think we all had to kind of just deal with the hand that was dealt to us. Obviously we worked really hard to prepare for that like Placid tournament, and we were doing really well all the way through that. It looked like we had like a full head of steam and we were going to win the championship, and then everything kind of came crashing down. I actually ended up coming back to PEI after the tournament finished and wasn't sure when the season was going to resume. So then things kind of got going quickly after that, and I went back to Toronto, trained for a couple more weeks, and then we headed to Boston for the final 2 games. So I think, yeah, like a lot of things were out of my control and out of the control of my teammates and coaches. But that just goes to show that at every level, you have to kind of deal with adversity and whatever hand is given to you and just do the best with it. Yeah, and just do whatever you can in the scenario that you're given. So.
And I know, Ava, you kind of had some challenges this year, obviously, where you were playing. And I guess what were kind of some of those challenges that you guys would have seen in the States?
Yeah, so I mean, we were pretty fortunate. We knew pretty early on that they were going to try to have a hockey season versus some of the other sports. They weren't sure if, seasons were going to happen at all. But similar to what Sarah said, like our freshman class came in, there was 8 of them this year. It was a big freshman class. And like, I didn't even like know half their names until like October, because like we couldn't hang out. We couldn't like skate at the same time. We couldn't work out at the same time. And so that was really challenging, like especially being captain too, like just trying to kind of foster that team dynamic with such a huge freshman class. And then, trying to build team camaraderie and all those things in a year like this. And then once eventually when we did get the season going, it was tough. Like it'd be a Thursday night and we'd be all like eating our pregame meals, like ready to go. And we'd get a text from coach and it'd be like, okay, games are off tomorrow. Like so-and-so has a positive. We're done for the weekend. So there was kind of that constant roller coaster of might be a Tuesday night and we're playing a game, which, we in college hockey, you don't do all that often. And if you are doing it, you know that like months in advance. So there was definitely a lot of challenges. And like Sarah said about, not having control over certain things, I feel like a common trait among high performance athletes is that we like to know what's going on. We like to, try to have control over the things that we can. And, so that was definitely challenging, just kind of trying to let go and trust that everybody else was doing the right thing and that, they were going to figure out a way to have a season or have games played. And so, that was challenging, but, all in all, we got the season finished and we got through playoffs. So it worked out well.
I guess for you, Emma, it would be kind of on the other side of the bench as a coach here on PEI this season with the Central Storm U18 AAA team. You had a little bit of a less hectic year, I guess, here in PEI. We were pretty fortunate, kind of to say the least. But maybe just to speak on that coaching, you as a coach, being a role model for those, those U18 AAA girls, and maybe when you were playing coming up, did you have a role model or a favorite coach that you looked up to or maybe had a positive influence on yourself?
I definitely had, speaking on the coach's behalf, I had like amazing coaches, that Scott McCabe and Rolly McSwain, and they were like my two coaches the entire way up pretty well. And so they were amazing, and I had such a great experience, a lot due to them. But as for like role models, I would say probably after the 2010 Olympics, watching that and seeing like Pulang and like all those amazing girls, that's when like it really set in for me, and that like hockey was a passion, and that was something I wanted to pursue. But locally, it probably would have just been like the university girls playing. But on like a national stage, role model wise, it probably would have been like the national team, and watching them play at the Olympics was definitely where I had my inspiration come from.
How about for the rest of you? Did you guys have certain role models, I guess, in the game, or coaches that you guys really enjoyed either playing for or looking up to during your early days or on to the end of your career?
Yeah, I think like for me, I always struggle with that question. I mean, obviously when you're younger, there was those big names, you know, like Haley Wickenheiser and Cassie Campbell that, you know, you'd see them on TV and you wanted to be them someday. But I think as I got older, it really just became my teammates and my coaches, like the people that, you know, you respected so much. You respected everything they did on the ice and off the ice, that you just kind of said like, I want to be like that, and if not better, you know. You just learn so much from those people. So I think a lot of my role models were definitely my teammates. I had one coach, well, all my coaches as well, but I had one particular coach at the end of my university career, Megan Duggan, who was the captain of the U.S. Olympic team, and she was really awesome to learn from. Especially on a leadership front. Like since I was the captain of Clarkson at that time, and she was the captain of the US team, she was just a really good mentor and someone I really looked up to. So yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of young girls, I always had like a picture of the Team Canada Olympic team hanging on my bedroom wall. But like Shannon said, just like in university, playing alongside of a lot of big names like Mary Philip Flynn and Victoria Bach are now on the Team Canada national roster. I think just being able to go out and practice and be on the ice with those girls every day was like truly a surreal experience. And yeah, you don't realize at the time like how like inspiring all those girls are, and you don't know at the time like how far they're going to go, and that you were like a small piece in the success of them making it that far, I guess.
Yeah, and I can resonate with that too. I mean, like just playing with people, you know, on my teammates and everybody, and you know, especially as a freshman or a sophomore, and looking up to the upperclassmen and thinking like, okay, I want to be in your shoes someday. Like, I want to like either be in your shoes or like one up you. But I will give a compliment to the girls on the Zoom here. So I'm the baby of the group, and you know, 10-year-old me right now would be like fangirling. I looked up to these three girls a lot. There are people like I was like, oh my god, like Shannon MacAulay, Sarah Steele, Emma Martin. Like 10-year-old me would be asking for an autograph session after this. So I will give that to you guys.
Well, that's awesome. Maybe we'll have to arrange an autograph signing after the Zoom call, maybe virtually.
I do want to add, because I remember vividly meeting Ava for like the first time, and she was significantly younger, and I walked in and she was doing 10 chin-ups at the gym, and I was like, who is this girl? I need her to train me. I just have to add that, Ava.
That's awesome. One of the questions too we want to ask you guys was maybe, was there a moment, I know it's hard to answer, but is there a moment in your guys' hockey careers that you kind of realized that you were good, so to speak, and had the opportunity or the tools to take your careers to the next level? Was there a certain point? Was it a certain game, tournament, event that you really kind of your eyes opened and you were able to kind of see yourself make that jump to the next level? Maybe I'll start with Sarah. I'll turn it off to you on this one.
Yeah, I guess like going back to my minor hockey days, like I said, I was one of three girls on the boys teams growing up. And then when I did make the transition to girls hockey, I played all the way up until Pee Wee. And then at that point, I knew that I kind of had to leave the island to seek out higher or more opportunities, more competitive competitive opportunities. So then I attended one of the showcase camps that Andrews hosts at the Carey, and ended up making the decision to leave Prince Edward Island and attend prep school like Shannon did. So yeah, I think that was probably a key moment where I kind of knew that I had an opportunity to seek out hockey and pursue something higher than just like being on the local island, I guess.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was really young leaving, so I think even when I did leave, like Sarah, I knew it was a big opportunity, and I wanted to expose myself a little bit more, and that was a big part of the reason I did leave in the first place, and to transition to female. But I think when I got there, I still was not necessarily, I didn't have really huge expectations. I didn't really know where I stood in the female game at that point, and especially leaving the province. But I think when I got there and settled in at such a young age, and I was playing and competing with older girls who would have been, in grade 12 and I was in grade 9, and being able to be line mates with them and keeping up just fine. And I think that was kind of when I realized, like, okay, like, I can do this. They're doing it. Like one of my teammates, Sarah Davis, actually, she's from Newfoundland. She was in the Hockey Canada program at the time, and I was just in awe with her. And she was a good friend of mine, and I definitely was inspired and driven by her. And I think the more I, kept playing in Warner and going to the U.S. and playing in tournaments and being recruited by some universities is when I really was driven to just want to be better and take it to the next level and make the national team. So yeah.
Maybe Emma, you could touch on kind of the process that took you from your Central Storm days to make that jump to UPEI. What was it like for you, and when did it hit you that it was a reality that you were playing at the AUS level?
Yeah, it's funny because that probably jump felt like the biggest for me. I only played 2 years of midget hockey or U18 hockey just because of the way my birthday fell. So I was very young starting university, and I think that kind of got to me a little bit. My confidence was definitely shot. And so that adjustment from going minor hockey to university felt like a very big jump. And I wasn't all that confident in my abilities because of the age difference and just because of never playing at like that kind of elite level. But I definitely think that's where I saw the most growth. And playing university, I mean, you just are exposed to so much more ice time, and it's so many more opportunities to grow. So that has helped me tremendously. And then there was kind of that second little moment when I transitioned to playing in Montreal. And it kind of goes along with what Sarah and Shannon were mentioning, in that when you're surrounded by talented, hardworking individuals that just push each other every single day, it's something about that makes you kind of feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm here for a reason. And it instills that confidence in you again. So I think playing in university was definitely the exposure, and the amount of ice time and the amount of girls you're surrounded by helps you with that growth.
And Ava, you took the NCAA route, so maybe speak on that and what it was like for you.
Yeah, for sure. So, going back to the last question, like, when did you know you were good? I really didn't until I was maybe 14 or so. I was at, again, an Andrews showcase camp, and a particular NCAA school came up to me and said, "Hey, we're interested, whatever." And I went home and I asked my parents, "What's the NCAA?" I was like, "What's the name of this school?" Like, I was like, "I don't know what this is. I don't know what an Ivy League is. Like, I don't know what all these things are." And then I think the summer after was when I was invited to my first U18 camp. And that was kind of, the moment where I was like, okay, like, I can do this. I can play at the NCAA level. I can play, I can compete with these girls. I'm in this group. I'm in this elite group. And for me, ending up at UNH was kind of an interesting journey. I had my heart set on a different school in New England. I won't give you guys any spoilers. And then I went down, and, being a kid from PEI, being in a big city was intimidating and felt like a lot for me. So I called up the UNH coaches and I said, hey, I'm in the area. Can I come visit? And within 15 minutes, I was basically committed. I knew that this is where I was supposed to be and just kind of felt like home. So, and, to this day, it still feels like home. I could see myself coming back here and living in New Hampshire someday. So definitely didn't make a bad decision. And it's definitely an interesting process, though.
And to kind of close things out, I guess to turn it back on the focus of our high performance program, what were some of your guys' favorite memories with the Hockey PEI's high performance program? And I guess what advice would you give to our U14, U16, U18 female hockey PEI high performance members heading into this weekend and throughout the whole process leading up to Atlantic Challenge Cup and whatnot? Maybe we'll start with you, Shannon.
Yeah, I have a lot of great memories playing with Hockey PEI for sure. I definitely think, Canada Games in 2011 was something I'll never forget, but I think it does go right back to like the camps, just what you guys are about to do now. Those were some of the funnest moments, and there was just so many girls and it was competitive and it was fun. So I think for me, just really enjoy it. And especially in times like this, like you have to be grateful for it. And I think it's really special that you guys can, still be able to have this camp. And I think something I've definitely learned from my career and still learning now is to not, completely let hockey or your sport consume you 100%. I'm a big believer in trying to have other things going on in your life, like your friends, your family, whether it's school, whether it's a hobby, whatever it might be that allows you to, when you're there, and really just be able to enjoy that moment for what it is. It's hard not to take it home with you all the time or dwell on things if your performance wasn't great, but I think it's super important to just try and be at the rink when you're at the rink and, be home when you're home.
Yeah, I guess I'll start off with a message of advice. I think like it's pretty apparent that like all the girls on the panel right here have not gone down the same exact path. So I think that's really important to consider when you're considering what is your dream and what you want to achieve. When you run into roadblocks or maybe you take a turn where you don't think that you want to go that way, at the end of the day, just like keep chasing your dream and redefining what it is. It's not always going to be the same thing in a year from now and 5 years from now. So I think at the end of the day, just taking a step back and kind of reevaluating what you're chasing after, I think really helps in the long run. And I guess, yeah, like I don't have a really specific moment, but I have really fond memories of all of the tryout camps. I think Team PEI has some of the best teams in terms of just like the environment and the vibes of all the teams, all the friendships that you get to make throughout the camps. I think it really shows when you guys show up at the ACC tournaments.
Perfect. And Ava?
Yeah, I'll start with a good memory. Don't remember what year it was exactly. I was in U18s and we ended up in the finals with Newfoundland. And so that was fun because it was kind of the two underdog teams that people don't, typically expect to see in the gold medal game. And we ended up losing it 1-0 on a squeaker goal. But, some of my best memories and just all the girls that you get to meet. And as Sarah said, like I think Team PEI usually has the most fun out of any of the provinces there. Lots of great bus rides to and from the hotels and scaring the other team that you're playing because all the singing you guys are doing. And, there's nothing I wouldn't give to go back and sit on one of those buses again as a 15-year-old and just experience the fun that we had. So just don't take it for granted. I think, in that moment I might have a little bit, and but looking back on it now, it's like those are some of the best moments, playing with girls all across the island, and meeting lots of new people and new friends, and getting to experience and play high level hockey as a group, and as a group that has a lot of fun at that. So that would be my advice too, would just be to have fun with it. Like Shannon and Sarah both kind of said, like at the end of the day, it's still a game. Sometimes we forget that sometimes, that what we're doing, and what some of us have made careers out of, is literally just a game. So just having fun, taking a step back, and just realizing that this is supposed to be fun. This was invented to be fun. I started off doing this because I'm having fun, and just trying to continue and carry that energy throughout. And another thing that I'll say, this will be my last one, being someone from PEI, I played all the way through on PEI too, and it's especially important to kind of take initiative and try to get your own name out there. So it's tough, for an American NCAA school to come up and watch one player, even if you are that really, really special one player. It's tough logistically for them to get up to the island and just see you. So, trying to get your name out there, trying to contact coaches, talk to different people. I'm a big believer in networking, and, if the hockey world's so small and everybody knows everybody. So just, trying to get your name out there as much as possible.
And last but not least, we'll finish off with Emma.
Yeah. A little bit of just the memory side first. I can recall being so nervous and stressed going up to like hockey PEI camps. And then the moment you get there, you're just like, this is such an amazing environment, super competitive and super fun. And like the other girl said, I truly think that Team PEI is special in that sense, that the girls get along so well, and we're very fortunate for that. But honestly, just reiterating like the three things that were mentioned, like having balance in your life, like what Shannon said, Sarah mentioning that everybody's story is different. And so don't always think that what path you're on dictates your future, because it can look completely different. And then what Ava mentioned was having fun. Like those three things, I can't wrap it up any better than that. Like that's how it is. And so just keep working, keep giving it all you can. And you're here at this hockey PEI camp for a reason. And so appreciate it and enjoy it.
Perfect. And I really appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I want to thank Emma and Ava and Shannon and Sarah for obviously spreading your guys' knowledge and experience with us and the girls. And we obviously wish you guys best of luck throughout the rest of your careers and future endeavors, and look forward to watching you guys over the next couple years, and really being able to kind of share those moments with everybody back home here. So thanks a lot, guys.